Good morning everyone, Gadget here for another video, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the Fuji GFX 50R. This is a medium format rangefinder style camera which has never been done before. It's quite a monster. You can create some amazing things with this thing, but you got to give it the respect that it deserves and commands. So in this video, I'm going to give you my honest opinions on using it in a studio environment and an on-location shoot. What are the strengths? What are the benefits? What are some of the drawbacks that you might face? And who this camera is really for. So make sure to check out the entire video. And if you enjoy this kind of stuff, make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below, and let me know what you think and if you like the images. If you don't like the images, I mean, I guess you could leave that in the comments as well, but I'm pretty sensitive with that stuff. So a year ago, I made a video using the Fuji GFX 50S. Now this was their first foray into medium format photography with the mirrorless system, and I went on a street photography shoot with it. Now this was mostly tongue-in-cheek, it wasn't meant to be taken seriously, but they did do something unique with that camera that allowed you to take it around with you. So I had some fun with that, and it looks like I may have insulted some people at Fuji because they didn't want to see that in that environment, and they decided to just say, hey, if you want to go street photography with a medium format system, well, we'll make one for you. So I'm not going to take all the credit for them making this, but let's be honest. A year ago, I make that video, and a year later, this camera comes out. I don't know, it's a little hard to be just coincident. Now let's not sweat the details, let's just talk about what this camera can do. You're packing over 51 megapixels on a medium format size sensor. That's quite a bit larger than your full frame sensor and significantly larger than your crop sensor. What that allows you, what that gives you, if I could just put it into some layman terms here, is you're gonna get a unique look that is known for medium format cameras. It's really hard to describe. One of the things you'll notice is that you get a shallower depth of field. So an f2.8 on a medium format camera is gonna give you more shallow depth of field than the equivalent on a full frame or crop sensor. That's just one of the things, but it's hard to describe. When you're actually using a medium format system, you have to see the images to really witness, especially when it comes to skin and skin tones. It just brings out a unique look that you can't replicate on a full frame or crop sensor. Now there's some of you out there that simply might not believe it. I will say, if you have the opportunity, try it for yourself before you decide. You know, just looking at the images online, you're not gonna be able to tell that difference as easily when you're actually using the system, manipulating the files, and have that right in front of you, especially when it's printed out in a large format. So let me talk about the camera itself. How does it handle? Well, it doesn't handle as well as the 50S. Yes, it's more compact, but that grip significantly more shallow. So you're using something that's about the size of a DSLR, but it doesn't give you that grip in your hands like a DSLR. So it's a little tricky to use. If you have smaller hands or you're just not used to that kind of weight, it might be uncomfortable for some people. That being said, it's not completely the worst thing. I don't want to make it seem worse than it is. It fits in your hand pretty decently and allows you to use it in multiple environments, and especially pack it in your backpack in some ways that a normal DSLR or larger mirrorless camera wouldn't fit as easily. This camera was designed for a specific subset of people, right? You need to respect that, and it requires a good amount of patience and skill to use this system. And I say system because when you're buying a Fuji GFX 50R, it's not just a camera you're buying a system, right? Whether it comes to the lens, the sensor, and how you use that and what you're allowed to do with it really is a system and a set of workflows. Using shutter speed on this system, for example, needs to be on point. You don't get that flexibility or latitude you'd see in a full frame or crop sensor body. Now, I'm not saying that as a drawback, it's just something that you need to be aware of when you're using a medium format camera, especially one that's going to give you this kind of resolution. Comparing this to other Fuji cameras, there's no ISO dial on the side, unfortunately. There is a customizable dial around the shutter button. Now, on the topic of the shutter button, I kind of wish that they had the little screw there to put a shutter trigger on it, to customize that in a little way like you'd see on the X-T3 or X-T2. Just something that I appreciated from that style of cameras. I don't know if that's asking too much, but I kind of wish that they had that. Now the body and lenses are designed to be weather and dust resistant, which again just invites this camera to be taken with you in almost all environments. You can pack it nice and take it with you wherever you're traveling. While there are wider lenses available for street photography or journalism, that kind of stuff, I was mainly using the 110mm portrait lens that they offer. This is definitely not one made for street photography and really pushing the boundaries if you're looking at travel photography. But man, did it produce some amazing images. And one of the things you'll see in these review videos is I'll have a ton of images for you guys to look at. And with this one specifically, I'll crop in for you so you guys can actually see the kind of latitude you have with your images. But again, when you use this system, you're getting something in return for your patience and respect for the craft. The end result is something that has a little bit more latitude and a very unique look that can't be replicated on other systems. If you're getting paid in a studio environment, or you're traveling as a journalist, or you can't decide whether you want to take the Rolls or the Jag to work today, this might be the camera for you. Whatever side you fall on, truly getting the most out of this system requires a fundamental understanding of photography and patience. Again, you're gonna hear me say it a lot. Patience, patience, patience. How can I say that better? Well, you're not buying this camera to get better at photography. You're gonna buy this camera and get better at photography. So keep that in mind. There is a really clear difference there. This is not something you just wanna throw your money at and expect all of a sudden your photography game to go to an elite level. That's just not gonna happen. While the resolution is extremely nice and having that amount of data is valuable, any issues with your images are gonna be that much more obvious. Because of that resolution, your problems or compositional issues, anything like that, is gonna be that much more glaring on your end result. You might not see it on the back LCD when you're zooming in, but when you throw it on your computer, you're gonna notice those issues really quickly. That being said, the benefits you get with the Fuji system, with the film simulations and setting up custom profiles to really get that unique look in camera, you get those same benefits with the Fuji GFX 50R. This is the sort of thing that, in my opinion, just gives you a leg up on getting your work to the way you want it faster than other systems on the market. Let me go on a tangent here. What I really enjoyed was taking these images and throwing it on the iPad, again, full resolution, whether it was the RAW or the JPEG, and having fun with them. This convergence of technologies really showcases the democratization of creativity. And to do it at the price points that are available right now was almost unthinkable a few years ago. So you gotta take that into account. And I mentioned printing. You definitely want to print your work. If you're someone that's not printing your work and considering this camera, I don't know if you're gonna get the best bang for buck here. I don't know if it's really that much valuable to you. But if you're printing your work, if it's going on advertisements, if it's going on billboards, or maybe it's just for you, your home studio, or maybe you're selling your prints, this is a camera that's really gonna take it up a notch. You really just get to observe and absorb that color and texture that Fuji is known for. So if you're getting the 50R, please get good at your craft, pick your favorite images and print them and share them. Of course, the 50R has some video capabilities, but nobody's buying this thing for video. You don't just look at a 50R and say, you know what? I wanted to shoot some video with that thing. No, it's there. It's there if you need it in the off chance that maybe you're a hybrid kind of shooter and you want to get some scenic shots or whatever it may be, it's there. It's not great, but you got some capabilities there. Talking about the camera itself and the photography features, the autofocus is not what you would expect when it comes to something at this price point. But you got to keep in mind, for a medium format camera, it's relatively fast. Yes, it does hunt to find focus. That focusing system is going to be a little bit challenging to work with for a lot of people. You're going to have to respect the system and try to work around it as opposed to it conforming to your style. The face and eye detect autofocus system is very usable. The camera does a good job of finding that. But again, I just didn't rely on that system when using this thing. I prefer to go full manual and control that focus, turn on the peaking to see if I was actually in focus, and when the peaking said I was, I usually was. Another thing that, I don't know if it bothered me or concerned me, but there's no optical viewfinder. The viewfinder is to the left of the camera, so I like this because you can actually look through the viewfinder and see what you're going to shoot. You have the EVF. and you can peek out and see the actual scenario with your other eyes. So having that sort of latitude is nice. But here's the thing, Fuji spoiled us with the X100F and that hybrid system where you can go full optical or you can go EVF. So when you have that on the market, there's almost an expectation to include that in these higher priced cameras, especially the medium format. Whether you have to charge a couple $100 more, I don't know if I can give you a free pass because you set the precedent. You guys at Fuji made it available. So I would challenge them to include that in this system. Now I'm sure there's engineering reasons why they couldn't, or cost reasons, whatever it may be. That being said, I just like that system on the X100F. You spoiled me there, and I'm just gonna have that expectation on this, fair or unfair. And for what it's worth, this is not a quiet camera. So if that's important to you, I mean, this camera is gonna let you know when it's focusing and when it's taking a picture. What's not a drawback on this camera is the battery life. The battery life was amazing. It lasted me a full shoot whenever I took it out on the multiple shoots that I took it on, and just left me happy. And it reminded me right away that the battery life on my X-T3, which I'm shooting on right now, does not compare to the 50R. So hey, if you wanted better battery life on a Fuji system, the GFX has it. So should you buy this camera? Should I buy this camera? I really love this much more than I thought I would. It really had me thinking how much value I could get by shifting my professional photography gear to this system. If you look at this camera and you think the price is insane, please look the other way. This camera system is not for you. It's not meant for you. This is truly meant for photographers that work in a very competitive space commercially and or have the disposable income and just value the specs you get in this look and feel. I won't sugarcoat it. For a trained photographer, you'll get a significantly better image on this system than you would on a full frame or crop sensor system in several environments. Not all environments, but a lot of environments. And when I say environments, I'm talking really that studio space where it's really controlled, or on location where you have, again, a lot of control over what's going on. The price point is actually really cheap when you look at what you're actually getting and what's included and compare that to the other medium format systems on the market. To think that you're priced over 50% lower than the next competitor, that is pretty crazy and pretty astounding. That's why when I see a lot of photographers reviewing this camera and saying how expensive it is, you have to take into account what you're comparing against and who it's really meant for. So when you take those factors into consideration, this is an underpriced beast. But again, that price doesn't mean you can just buy this thing and become an elite photographer. You can buy a basketball, but that doesn't make you Steph Curry. For the individual that is generating income from their craft and often finds themselves in a controlled environment that isn't speedy in nature, this system will truly offer a differentiator to your craft that can separate you from your competition. This is not a camera made for most people, but it's definitely a camera that practicing photographers, people that actually work on improving their craft, will appreciate. Once again, thank you for watching my insights on the Fuji GFX 50R. I hope you enjoyed the video, but more importantly, I'd love to hear what you think. What did you think about the video? What do you think about the shots? What do you think about this camera? Leave it in the comments below. I make sure to read every single comment and reply at this point right now, every single comment. I really do my best to engage with all of you out there. But most importantly, subscribe to the channel and check out some of the other videos that I have here. Your attention has been greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.